Engage.
Today we received exciting news from San Diego Comic-Con with a full panel and brand new trailer on Star Trek Picard. Hello everyone, I'm Captain Jack and welcome to Trek Central. Today we were blessed with a brand new footage of the upcoming Star Trek Picard show in the form of a trailer, in-depth details on the new cast and their characters, as well as returning iconic legends from within the Star Trek universe. Stay tuned as we're about to warp into some big news. First up, let's break down the trailer we got. Sadly we can't share the trailer in this video as CBS have blocked all re-uploads for some reason. But I have included a link to UK and US versions in the description should you need to watch the trailer, and definitely watch it. Okay, so the trailer starts off looking at Picard's family vineyard and slowly zooms into his house, with a mysterious voiceover asking, "Have you ever been a stranger to yourself?" We then see Picard opening doors and replying in a similar voiceover fashion saying, "Many, many times." Picard then opens a container which contains his iconic Next Generation Starfleet Communicator badge. While looking at the badge, Picard says, "Nearly 2 decades ago, Commander Data sacrificed his life for me. These past few years, I really tried to belong here, but it never truly felt like home." This speech obviously states the fact we already know that Lieutenant Commander Data saved Picard's life in 2379 at the Battle of the Basin Rift against Shinzon of Remus. The phrase "nearly 2 decades ago" aligns with what we already know in information about the series. Star Trek Picard does indeed take place nearly 20 years after the events of Star Trek Nemesis. Furthermore, the speech shows Picard had tried to live with the death of Data and settling back into normal civilian life, but has been unable to due to his longing for the stars to explore and make a difference as a Starfleet captain. There may have been other incidents which put Picard in this state, presumably the events around the destruction of Romulus, but I suppose we'll learn that at a later date. We then see a young girl, played by newcomer Isa Bryans, walking on a street through rain, which cuts to her approaching Picard at his vineyard. This mysterious woman then asks, "Do you know who I am? Everything inside of me says I am safe with you." Picard, shocked by this revelation, goes to Starfleet headquarters, which aligns with the leaked set images we saw a few months back, and talks to the Starfleet Admiral about the woman who approached him, saying, "Admiral, I have encountered a woman. She came to me for help." While Picard is saying this, further shots see this mysterious woman being hunted down by some identified troops, but she is definitely capable of defending herself, being able to throw one of these hunters off a ledge. Picard continues and says, "If she is who I think she is, then she is in serious danger." It's worth noting that in the middle of his speech, Picard's background scenery switches, suggesting the conversation happens with different people. The trailer continues. We then see a fleet of ships of unknown origin, but from their bird-like silhouette, we can theorize that these might be Romulan birds of prey, or at least modern ones, approaching what seems to be an arid planet. Presumably Vulcan or Romulus. We know from a Countdown comic that the Vulcan Science Council knew about the Hobus supernova, but did not take action soon enough. If such information got out, I could see the Romulans taking revenge against the Vulcan species for this, but obviously that kind of means the Countdown comic might be canon, which we kind of already know it isn't. But maybe they could withdraw from that, I'm not sure. We then get this scene of some scientists experimenting on someone. We believe this could be Romulans experimenting with Borg technology to reclaim their empire, an idea played about in Star Trek Online, but also backed up by later parts of this trailer. Stay tuned. The Romulans attempted to backward engineer Borg tech, but it did not go so well in the long run. Trek Central will be covering this in greater detail soon, so subscribe for more. We then get Picard seeing what we presume is the Picard First Duty Museum exhibition in real life, but obviously in Starfleet headquarters. For those who don't know, CBS put on an exhibit at San Diego Comic-Con mimicking a museum about Admiral Picard and the life of him inside Starfleet. The fact that in this scene we see the Captain Picard Day banner confirms that the same exhibit might also be in-universe as well, and that is Picard is visiting it to remind him of his former iconic self. If you did not manage to visit the First Duty exhibition, it will be on display at Star Trek Las Vegas. We put out a video on this exhibition which is linked in the video description should you wish to learn more. Our voiceover says, "Sometimes I worry you've forgotten who you are," with Picard looking over the museum, but focusing on the Captain Picard Day banner, suggesting he's forgot the iconic past and life he once led. We then see what we believe is a Romulan prison facility where they're experimenting with Borg technology once again. They should really learn a lesson. We see what looks like to be Borg regeneration alcoves, similar to those in Star Trek First Contact and of course Star Trek Voyager. There's also a sign on the wall which says, "This facility has gone 5,843 days without an assimilation." Bit freaky. This might give us an understanding of what the plot of the series is. From what we can gather, it appears that the Romulans are messing around with Borg technology. Does no one ever learn in Star Trek? We know this doesn't go well. A Romulan woman is then seen telling Picard that "we do not," connecting with the earlier speech spoken of saying Picard might have forgotten who he is. The wording of this is interesting as I believe it connects with Romulus once again. The woman is most likely referring to her species, Romulans, and how they haven't forgotten that Picard saved their species with his rescue armada which is of course mentioned in the first teaser trailer for Star Trek Picard. They might be not linked, but I'm reckoning they are. The scene then cuts to Picard walking in a desert, most likely a new planet, with a voiceover saying, "You can't do it alone," suggesting Picard is in need of a crew, and the gentleman speaking to him wants to join him on his mission. Further scenes show Picard arriving at Starfleet HQ via transporter pads, an idea first came up with in the Kelvin timeline film Star Trek Beyond. Just to not confuse any of you, Star Trek Picard takes place in the Prime timeline. We then learn that Santiago Cabrera's character, Rios, was a previous man speaking, going on to say, "You need help, you need protection, you need a crew." Over scenes of a new crew, Alison Pill as Dr. Jurati, Michelle Hurd as Raffi, Evan Evergore as Elnor, a Romulan Vulcan who appears to be a martial arts specialist. An old Romulan man then tells Picard, "Be the captain we remember," again suggesting that Picard is well known to the Romulan species, or at least this particular group of people. Further scenes show Picard going to a couple of different places, then the idea that this mysterious girl is a bigger mystery than we once thought. Harry Treadaway's character, who we currently have no name for, says she has no idea who she truly is. He says to another character who are both stood in a dark corridor, though I think this is a Romulan installation once again. Looking further around the scene, it seems like there is a Romulan symbol on the window towards the red lighting. Just towards the right, see if you can make it out. The scene continues with more shots of the mysterious girl and the older Romulan man being held against the floor shouting, "She is the end of us all," followed by "She is the destroyer," as a shot of a heavily damaged Borg cube appears. So yes, the Borg have returned apparently. Well, at least in some form. This cube looks heavily damaged and therefore not a threat. Though with Romulans messing around with the tech, it does pose a ton of interesting questions of what is going on at the moment. A new scene starts with Picard pouring himself a drink, and is greeted by the one and only 7 of 9, showing us that legendary actress Jeri Ryan is reprising a role for the series. Who could have predicted that? Certainly not us. She also has a little sass asking, "What the hell are you doing out here, Picard? Saving the galaxy?" This shows that she's embraced more of her human side since the end of Star Trek Voyager. She still has her iconic Borg implant located on her head, confirming that this is the same character we all know and love. Further fast-paced shots take place showing a ship approaching the heavily damaged Borg cube, which appears to be in some sort of containment field, maybe suppressing the cube's regeneration ability. The additional shots show Picard and his crew on board a new type of ship, angry Romulans appearing to throw Jean-Luc Picard out of somewhere, and what looks like to be a Borg drone having its implants removed. More shots of Jeri Ryan appear, as well as characters running down a corridor, and Picard appearing to grab a disruptor and shoot someone or something with it. The scene is finished with Picard saying his iconic line of, "Engage." As the trailer comes to a close, we see the title scene confirming that Star Trek Picard will air in early 2020, not late 2019 as originally mentioned. But I'm fine with this, due to the next scene. We then see Picard is playing cards, with him saying, "I don't want the game to end." A surprise cut and transition shows Jean-Luc Picard is playing cards with Data, or B4. There is no confirmation of what exact character, or we know that his Brent Spiner is back in Star Trek. The character replies to Picard and says, "I can see that, Captain," ending the trailer there. And that is it, the Picard trailer is over. But stick around, we have some big news following the trailer thanks to the San Diego Comic-Con panel. More legendary Star Trek actors are joining the cast of Star Trek Picard, including Jonathan Frakes reprising his role as William T. Riker, Marina Sirtis reprising a role as Deanna Troi Riker, and also an odd one, but Jonathan Del Arco returning as Hugh the Borg, last seen as Star Trek The Next Generation in the 90s. An odd choice, and I can't wait to see how this works out. Additional details about the show include the fact Sir Patrick Stewart has been heavily involved in the series' creation and development since the idea became a thing. Previously, Stewart had said no to reprising Picard, but we learned that as soon as he heard the story the creative team wanted to tell, he was on board immediately, stating he wanted something new, but which still honoured the Picard that came before. Basically, we can save the series in safe hands. Michael Chabon, the series showrunner for Star Trek Picard, says Patrick has been a collaborator with the writers from the beginning, while Star Trek franchise boss Alex Kurtzman said that Picard represents the ideal captain, not just as a philosopher, but also as a human being. So yeah, wild evening for Star Trek news, wouldn't you agree? Not only is Picard back, but we've known that for some time now, but he's also joined by legendary Star Trek actors Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis, Brent Spiner, Jeri Ryan, and Jonathan Del Arco. What more could we want? There is still a hell of a lot of information to process coming out of San Diego Comic-Con, but if you want to keep up to date with the latest Star Trek news, then subscribe to Trek Central for all your Star Trek news, lore, and more. Trek Central will be breaking down all the news and information we've learned this weekend over the next week, so make sure to keep an eye out and ask any questions and we'll hopefully answer them for you. I've been Captain Jack on Trek Central, thank you for watching and we will see you next time. Warp speed.
What the hell are you doing out here, Picard? Saving the galaxy?